So the MR2 1.9 TDI build. Well, before I get into the details, let me just say that my cat is an asshole. He plays in the mud first and then climbs on the roof. Now obviously my roof needs replacing, obviously, but still, imagine if that was brand new one. So yeah, he's a proper asshole. However, you're here not to talk about my cat being an asshole, but about the engine swap into MR2. Now, today we're gonna talk about pretty much everything because I'll show you in a minute. Everything is ready, and we're gonna talk about pretty much everything. I've got a small list here, very professional. We're gonna talk about the cooling system. We're gonna talk about the turbo system, the intercooler, the engine mounts, etc, etc. Fuel system returning to the tank, drive shafts, oil cooler, intake plenum, exhaust as downpipe and the rest of the exhaust, the gear linkage, and handling. And maybe we should start with handling because now if you already have one of these cars, then great, you may have good ideas or bad ideas about it. If you don't have one of these cars or haven't driven one of these, you probably have a wrong idea either. So first of all, let me say one thing. This is an absolutely awesome piece of car. It's a big go-kart with a roof, well, kind of roof. Mine is crap, but this is what it is. It's a big go-kart. They're very light, not as light as a Lotus Exige and stuff like this, but you can get pretty close to that weight as well. And you got a little bit more luxury inside. There's more space, etc, etc, and actually they drive very, very nice. Now there is a big improvement that you have to do because everyone says they're very snatchy in the corners, you can lose the back end and all that stuff. Well, first of all, it's bullshit, okay? If you don't know how to drive the car, you're making excuses. If you know how to drive the car, you don't make excuses. And if it's snatchy, you use it. Now, once you increase the power and all the stuff, I would suggest to increase the tires. And what I've done, first thing I've done, I put the bigger wheels and much larger tires. Now, I'm gonna be very much criticized for this, but I'm running square setup. Square setup means I'm running exactly the same size tires on the back as on the front. Now you say, okay, you increase the power, blah blah, you need more grip on the back, but why the hell you put the bigger tires on the front? Well, I like to brake as well. I like to stop the car and I like to have as much corner grip as possible. And the square setup comes actually from a race car. This was, well, it's not anymore with this big engine in the front. It was 50-50 weight distribution, and it used to run 295s front and back, semi-slicks or slicks, depending what I was doing with. And it was great. It was absolutely awesome. But you have to make the chassis work as well. You can't just put, you know, bigger tires everywhere and everything goes good. As a matter of fact, as soon as I put these bigger tires, the car drove like crap. I thought, okay, I broke the handling. Honestly, it was bad. It was horrible in comparison to the standard wheels and standard tires. But then you say, okay, you made it worse. Well, hold on, it's not that simple. What actually happened that made the handling worse? Well, I put the bigger tires and a bigger wheels, so the overall diameter, it was bigger. So what happened, I actually raised the chassis up, which usually is a dumb idea, right? You slam the car on the floor to make it grip better. Not entirely true, depending on what chassis it is and depending how is the geometry on that particular chassis. In this car, I don't want to lower it any more than it is. It looks like an off-roader because it's very tall, but I'm not going to lower it anymore because it will break the roll center, and the roll center is actually more important than the height of the car because they are very low anyway. They're fairly wide, so it's fine. It's more than good. However, because I increased the height of the car, I increased the roll. Once I increase the roll, and these are fairly stiff on the suspensions and don't run much camber, so I started to using the external side of the tires because the car was rolling too much and I was upsetting the suspensions too much. And all I had to do is to put stiffer anti-roll bars front and back. I think I put can't remember what, white lines, and I got them on the stiffest settings on the back and on the softest settings on the front, and the car handles absolutely amazing. It's probably maybe exaggerating right now, but it feels like twice as good as standard, even though it's actually tourer. Yes, I increased the width of the car, as you can see, obviously with big tires, big wheels and all that stuff. They don't clear the inside the fenders anymore, so I had to put these on. Some people hate them, some people like them. I like them. To me, it don't really matter how it looks like, it's how it handles and how it works. Now, obviously, if it looks good, that's a bonus, but if it doesn't, I'm not really fussed about it. Okay, so this is the handling, and I think this is a good suggestion to do if you want to increase the power to these cars. Then you do that, because you do need more grip, and you know, is a good thing to do. This I don't know, I think this is purely for look. I don't think it does much. I don't think it does need much. As aerodynamics, these cars actually need more job done on the front, so the front is absolutely horrible. If you're doing over 90, 100 miles an hour, the front starts to float, and it floats quite badly. So this is something I will have to address, because this car obviously now is capable of way more, very, very quick. So yeah, the front floats, and we have to put some diffuser and some, well, I got big plans for this car in the front anyway, because there's nothing underneath there, so you can do a lot. But this is not the video about that for now. Now you want to see the conversion parts. Now, as you know, before I had a K24 engine inside above the kit. I wasn't happy with the engine mounts, because I think the company is quite big reputation, but the quality of parts, it was absolutely shite. And I was like, well, you know, let me try this 1.9. I know it sounds stupid and all that stuff, but then I've seen a guy actually watches my videos as well, and I'm watching his videos. He has a Lotus Elise with 1.9. I think it was very standard, it's like 130, 150 brakes, but fuck me, it was going well, because of the torque of the engine, because obviously the engine is reliable, the stuff, it pulls you out the corners, and the car is very light, so it's a very good combination. And that kind of inspires me to actually try it. However, we have one in, as you probably know. If you don't, then look at my previous videos. We tested this, I've tested it, Steve tested, oh yeah, that was a bit awkward. He tested it, he timed it, measured it, the times and all the stuff, and with a bad TPS, well, not TPS, but bad throttle sensor, we have some surge, so the engine wasn't pushing entirely, and the throttle pedal, it didn't, sometimes it interrupts the signal, so what it did, it shoots down the vanes on the variable vanes on the turbo, and then opens it again for that quarter of a second, and then it makes it surge, so obviously lost the power. So you couldn't do a proper run, proper pull, which was very annoying. However, when Steve tested this, he said he was already making better times than E46 M3. Sure, it's not a great achievement yet, because E46 M3 is not really that quick, is it? However, in comparison to the standard 1.8 crappy engine inside they have, is a huge improvement. Now we don't have that anymore, so the car goes even better. The second stage I'm going to do is I'm going to put bigger injectors, which I already have. It's just a matter of finding the time to put the injectors on and map it again, because now she's making 240 brakes roughly, and then we're going to push it to anything between 300 and 340 brakes. Almost another 100 brakes, which is going to be quite a lot. And again, we're talking percentage weight to power ratio, so 100 brakes is quite a lot. Everything works fine now. Obviously I had the car as development, I used it, I abused it, so everything you see here, it works. It's not beautiful, because again, it's development, so you change stuff, you modify it, you find something that doesn't work properly as I wanted, so I change it again, and I don't make stuff beautiful, I just make it work. So this is the purpose of the car: do development and develop all the stuff, make sure everything works properly. Okay, so that's covered. and we're gonna go move to the engine. This is actually the whole thing. This is the swap kit. This will actually fit an MR2. This is 1.9 TDI with a 6-speed gearbox. Engine, sorry, almost completed. Now, let me just grab my very nice professional list and let's go through the stuff. I think we're gonna talk about the turbo system first, because it's the shortest and the easiest stuff to talk about. As you can see, this is a very nice turbo, and well, I don't remember that Scania did 1.9 TDIs. As a matter of fact, they didn't. Now, before you go panicking, this is not the turbo for this engine. Well, I have to say a lot. This turbo is actually for this engine here, because it's supposed to be there as a compound system. And believe it or not, there's so much space in this engine bay they can actually do it. But I'm not gonna do it just yet, or ever, I don't know. Plans can change all the time. However, this is not the turbo. Now, the original turbo is in the middle of this mess, this one here, this tiny thing. Now, this turbo is one of the smallest, the 1.9 fit. This actually is the engine that I bought ages ago for pennies, and I took the head off just to check what condition it is, and it's actually very, very good condition. It's actually almost ashamed to use it as a dummy engine for obviously the conversions and the kids and all that stuff. However, yes, I did put the turbo on just because it looks cool, and you know, I like it because it's cool. Now, turbo systems for this, you have a lot of companies making exhaust manifolds, selling hybrid turbos, bigger turbos, smaller turbos, loads of stuff. I mean, the market is full of stuff, so you can choose whatever you want. I have someone who imports nice turbos, hybrid ones, different sizes. They already welded to the standard exhaust manifolds, which I'm not really a big fan of it, but it works. Myself, what I did, I have, let me just grab the light. I have the standard Volkswagen Passat exhaust manifold, rewelded the flange on it, and I have the Audi Q8 turbo on it. Again, variable vane, poorly, very quickly, obviously converted to, as you can see there, to vacuum operated one. Yeah, that is actually my whole exhaust. And believe it or not, this is not too loud. I was scared this is going to be too loud, but it's not. It's not quiet, but it's not too loud, because obviously these turbos with VNT, they actually act like a fairly good silencer. So I'm actually going to leave it this way. I don't feel the need of a silencer. It's actually fairly alright. So turbo. So again, turbos, you can fit whatever you want. Now, the beautiful thing is that, again, this is another Passat. Yes, this is because the engine comes from the Passat exhaust manifold, and you have the turbo in this position, as you see in my car. The Golf one have the turbo much closer to the block. Now you can fit either. Now, my suggestion is, if you want to go crazy power, if you want to do compound system using one of these turbos or something smaller or something like that as a secondary turbo, go for a Golf exhaust manifold that keeps the turbo much closer to the block, and it gives you much more space over here. However, at that point, if you want to do a compound, it is probably better to use individual runners, exhaust manifold like one of these, SR20 or MX5, something this type. You know what I'm talking about. Is it possible not to? Yes, it is, because obviously you have to bypass the gases between, well, once your boost goes up, you bypasses the gases, so they don't go through the smaller turbo, but they go through the smaller turbo, and partially they go straight to the bigger turbo, and you can actually use the AGR hole. This one here, this fitment here is for the AGR naturally, so where you can obviously remove that, and you can enlarge this and use this pod to bypass the gases to the larger turbo as well. Lots of ideas if you want to experiment. Now, if you want to just do something simple, you can leave it standard. You can you know, get a turbo from the Bora 150, you can map them to 190 brakes, 180, 190, and just plenty for this car. You can go nuts. You can go anything from standard power to, Jesus, these days people pushing about, I think, over 500 brakes from the 1.9s. So, you know, you can go crazy on the 1.9, no problems whatsoever. However, now I'm gonna tell you something else. this engine mods, the whole kit, not only fits 1.9 TDI, but also fits 1.8 20 valve turbo engine Audi Volkswagen, which is this one here. So, well, this is going to be the next one going in the car. We're going to talk about this later on, but again, bear in mind, this kit fits both diesel and petrol. So if you hate diesels, it's like, oh, petrol is the only way to go with this car. Absolutely fine. If it's everything, pretty much everything fits exactly the same. So on both stuff. And if you think diesel, you want to go have a go at a diesel, you'll be surprised. Even if you hate it, if you don't like it, try it. It is good. And that was me. I was like, this is the bad idea, this is wrong, and then it's like, yeah, it's still wrong, but it's so bloody good. So this is the turbo system as exhaust, downpipe, and the turbo itself. Now, if you want to run a silencer as well, let me see, the camera picks it up. Yes, you can see how much space we got there for a silencer. So no worries, this could be very, very quiet and no one can hear you or anything, and it's fine. Plenum, intake plenum. Now, intake plenum originally is this cup over here, which is just removed. Okay, people use different plenums. People say Bora ones, 150 brakes, they good ones. No, trust me, all of them, they just crap. As flow, they bad. Okay, some of them they might be better or worse. They're all bad. Now, you can choose obviously to run a standard one, which whatever suits you, whatever you think is best, whoever you're gonna listen. I do my equal flow plenums like they used to do in obviously rallies and Formula Ones. You know, I've been known for obviously equal flow plenums and turbo system, all that stuff. I make my own ones. There is a very simple and quick way to make one, so I can make them fairly cheap, actually very cheap for what they are, out of using the standard plenum bottom end, which looks exactly like this. And I can supply them either with these clamps. Again, there's quite a lot of flex in them. So again, I've been running this, testing and using and abusing just to see if something fails. If it doesn't fail, only then I can say, okay, I can supply them, this actually works, and I can tell you this works. What else? Okay, so let me just check. I think that's all. That's all for the turbo system. Intercooler maybe. Intercooler is up to you. You know, people can put charge coolers and put a small radiator on the front of the car. Actually, you don't have to even do it, because this car usually comes with an aircon, and you can use the aircon radiator to cool down your charge cooler, which is extremely efficient, trust me. And so you don't have to spend money on that. And the beautiful thing is you already have the radiator on the front and the pipes going on the back. Sure, you have to clean them and all the stuff, but half the system is already built. All you need is a charge cooler, some pipes from the back from that, because obviously the pipes go into the compressor on the bottom there, so they're already there. And then, you know, small pump. So charge cooler, couple of meters of pipes and the pump, and that's it. And you have your charge cooler set up. I don't like them. I don't have a good experience with them. Maybe I haven't tested them properly. Maybe I would change my mind if I do something proper. Maybe it's a way to go. Probably, I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably experiment with this. So that's it. Oh yes, if you want to do the intercooler itself, then you know I've done something like this, which is pretty big. This is a typical 600 by 300 by 3 inch. Very simple and quick setup. However, I had to drill couple of holes, as you can see, to make it breathe much better. Now I removed my license plate because I was just thinking about removing this bar and do something, because I want to do a big diffuser and integrate inside the diffuser, because there is actually quite a lot of flow through the diffuser as well, and I'm just like to experiment stuff. But yes, if you want to put the intercooler, you have to make sure it breathes air in and out. Now the problem is that the air breathes in is through these veins, and obviously through the engine bay, which the air goes hotter before hits the intercooler. So a nice shroud, something to separate that obviously hot air from the intercooler would be nice, which I'm gonna do eventually, not now because I'm busy doing this stuff. Okay, so let's cross the turbo system out of the way. What we have now, think we should cover, well, let's cover the engine mounts, because obviously these are the more obvious parts. Okay, so let's go with the one you don't see, this one here. This one here actually doesn't go on the engine. Let me show you. Okay, so that engine mount, which is not engine mount, is a chassis mount, goes to actually the chassis. Now, there's no point to point out that my subframe is rotten. I know I have to replace it. We're not here for that. This goes into your subframe, uses original mounts, and it holds obviously that, I think it's called T-bone, which obviously holds to the gearbox. And obviously the purpose of this is to stop the engine from twisting forward and back when you go acceleration and deceleration and deceleration and all that stuff. So that goes over there. Now this one is actually not extremely important, and I'll tell you why. Because these, they break, and in a standard chassis like in the Boros and in the Golfs, I've seen people having lots of problems with them, because again they're just not strong enough, and this is the only thing that holds the engine from twisting forward and back, and there's always issues with that. So what we've done, because obviously the Toyota original engine has another engine mount and we're using that, we grab the gearbox from its bollocks from there, which, and now you see that bolt over there is not going through completely because I have the wrong sump, and I'm going to get to that in a second. However, we hold the gearbox from this bolt over here and that one over there, and these, let me grab the light again, just make sure you see it goes over there. This is your standard engine mount from the Toyota. However, you can see that engine mount is full. I filled that up with the Tiger Seal. Now Tiger Seal is a rubber thing, so what I did, I made that bush a bit more solid. It's still flexible. The reason I've done that is because I wanted to find the right stiffness of the bush, and because it's between the performance and the vibration. Again, it's a diesel engine, so you're going to have some vibrations transmitted to the cab. Now if you leave that standard, they're very little. Now a little bit more, but the engine twists even less. So I kind of like that in between feeling. And then, but the thing is, you can play with that. Now if you want a very solid, then you get yourself poly bushes on the engine mounts and other stuff, and it's going to be very solid. But I wouldn't advise that on a diesel engine. It shakes your teeth out. So that's that engine mount. It makes everything very solid. Honestly, it does not move, no matter how hard you try it. Now, once we got the car on the ramp, let me see what else can I show you. Yeah, yeah, don't say anything. This was a crappy quick fix on Sunday. So I came in a workshop, I found out it was leaking, and just put that on, and it doesn't leak. So I said, okay, I'm gonna fix it tomorrow, and that was months ago, and it's still there. So my usual. Yeah, these are Volkswagen Bora Driveshafts. They're extremely big. Obviously I had to modify blah blah, but they're very wide, very big, very strong. No chance you're gonna kill them. I think there's not much underneath here to see. Oh, you can see the alternator. I'm not sure the camera. Let me just pick up the light. I'm gonna cover this, the alternator fitment. There you go, you see that? There you go. It's just alternator and nothing else, because obviously this engine has a electric power steering, so no need of anything else. Just one short belt, one tensioner, and the alternator, which is very strong on these cars, on these engines. Oh yeah, this is wide line. Obviously the anti-roll bar, my exhaust with rusty hair. Again, bear in mind, I do this stuff, I do my stuff very quickly because I don't want to spend any time, any money. Just get it work, see if it works. If it works, I can, you know, do something with it. Otherwise, I just don't have a time for everything. Like this bracket, for example, I have to twist a little bit because it's on the way. There you go, that's better. I was on this side, this is alright. Yeah, you can see how much space you got in the new here. Loads, twin turbo, triple turbo, whatever you want. That's my oil cooler, which I'm gonna cover in a minute as well. Oh, and yes, obviously the sump. I told you I got the wrong sump on that engine. That's a dummy engine. This is the right sump. This is the shallow straight sump, and it clears perfectly everything, and also had the right fitment for that gearbox. That sump over there this is from the Passat. So obviously they have a different gearbox and different fitment on the gearbox. That's why these holes for the bolts don't align, and this is the reason why I can't put that bolt through, because there's no matching hole through it. But again, this is not the sump you're using, so no consideration for that. Let me just lower the car quickly and show you the rest. Alright, so let's have a look. We covered the handling, we covered the turbo system, the intercooler, the engine mounts. Nearly, let's finish with the engine mounts. Okay, so the right side engine mount, that's it. Now I want you to notice something. I want you to appreciate the fitting, the way we designed them. Well, it's not like we designed them. I can't get the whole credit for this, because I built the prototypes and then I sent it to my brother in Italy, and then he put them on a card for me the way I wanted, but he's spot on the computer. So I was a big help from him as well, and then we got the laser component to do it for us. And if you think it's simple, it's not. We've tried 3 different laser components before achieving the good quality of obviously cutting the stainless for us, because these are stainless steel. I don't make engine mounts in my steel, just stainless steel, so they don't need painting, they're never gonna corrode. Honestly, in 1,000 years, if you throw the car in the seaside, whatever, is gonna be another, I don't know, ice age, whatever, my engine mounts, they're gonna be still there. However, the structure is interlocked each other, so these can just be tacked as it is now together with a couple of spot welds, and this is solid. This will not, obviously is not bolted, but this will not move. So the structure does not rely on welds, it relies on the structure itself, the way these bits interlock each other. So this is the reason I didn't weld it up, because I want you to see and appreciate all the stuff. I love it. I love the way he designed it everywhere, you know. However, yes, this one, so you bought it to the original solid mount, and it goes to your Toyota original. You can't see it, bollocks, because well, it's there under the air filter. Now, as we're here, let me cover the air filter. The air filter position is in this position here particularly because you have cold air intake, and I assure you there's a lot of air going into it. Now obviously the MAF sensor measures the air mass, the quantity of air, but also the temp. And when we map the car, we can obviously see the temperature of the air going through the air filter, and it was ambient temp. There was no transmission of heat from the engine bay to the intake air, which helps a lot. You know, the cooler, the colder the air goes inside the engine, the more the engine efficiently runs. So that was extremely good, and I think that's a very good position. Maybe not a beautiful one, but it's very good. Also, you have it just behind your ears, and it sounds good with a turbocharger. So that's one engine mount. Another engine mount is actually on the gearbox itself. So this one here. Oh yes. Obviously, again, I just put one bolt just to keep everything in place. I didn't bolt them on because, again, this is purely for illustrations. Let me show you the engine mount when it's fitted. You can't see too much over here. Let me just check the camera picks up or not. There you go. Let me maybe put it there. You see it? There you go. And you can see that bit over there. This is the cable from your gearbox. Yeah. So let me go back on the bench and show you. This obviously you fit the bush in between, blah blah. It's very simple. This is a mount, again, nothing is welded, just to show you how it's actually built. This is the adjustment for your cable. This one here, this one is the one that goes left and right on your gear stick, and you can adjust it, you can fine adjust it. Now the beautiful thing is that your standard gear linkage goes on without any modifications. You don't have to modify absolutely nothing. Now we designed these ones that you gear linkage. I don't know if you can see it from here, but there is like a clip, like a metal clip there. I don't know if you can spot it. A metal clip that fits in and it holds your cables in place perfectly, like on the Toyota gearbox, so nothing moves. Now the other one is this one here. Now this one I'm gonna cover in a second. So this one you can adjust it and you can bring everything as it is, spot on. Now on the gearbox itself, this is 8mm, I think. Yeah, 8mm, and is exactly the same size that Toyota uses, so absolutely spot on. Now the other side, this linkage here, this fitment here, goes on this side, but there's something missing here because I'm actually using a standard Toyota part from the gearbox, and I'm not sure if I can show you good enough. I will try my best. Let me just touch the screen of the camera to see what you see. You see, there's a water line over there. Okay, maybe from here. This part over here, this is actually original one. All you have to do is just cut this bracket here, which is rusty now because again this was experiments and development and all that stuff, but you cut that off, and what you do, you weld on or send it to me. Oh, sorry, it's here already. This one here, which is again stainless, so there's not going to be any corrosion on the kit. Mine is just, you know, experimental, so that's why it's ugly and rusts and all the stuff. This one here goes, this hole here is like a guide. It goes, there's like a bump on the standard one. This fits perfectly in and you just spot weld it around, and this actually moves then the gears forth and back. And the other side, you attach your cable, and it's very self-explanatory. You can, oh Jesus, there you go. You see that thing over there? This is where you attach your cable, your standard cable, and it goes like a Toyota one, because this is actually Toyota part. This is your gearbox part, and you bolt it down on this flange here, this one here, which keeps the gearbox from on this hole, on that hole, and using this one in this one for that Toyota bracket. Maybe I make it sound a bit difficult, but it honestly is mega easy, mega easy. I was trying to find them, to buy a stock and modify them and sell them including the kit, but I can't find those. Although I didn't spend much time to look for them, maybe I can find them. If not, you can do it yourself. Otherwise you can send it to me, I can modify it for you or whatever. Maybe I can find them and sell them, I don't know. Haven't found them so far, so we'll see. What else? Oh, okay, so, and this is the throw that goes forth and back, and that one is actually adjusted by this rod here. You see, I got two brothers joints, good quality. This is all stainless, both are stainless, so this is always gonna be like this, okay, never gonna be rusted or anything. And you adjust it forward and back, so you adjust everything. Your gear stick is fully adjustable. So again, this is another good thing. I've tested and used it and abused it. We throw the gears in as hard as we could, absolutely no issues. The fitting is very good. I did remove the original bushes because, you know, the Toyota have like bushes inside there, but you can probably see that I've machined some aluminium bits that obviously replace the bushes, and the fitting is much better now. However, yeah, you can use it and abuse it, nothing's gonna go wrong. However, another thing, you can see this bracket, which obviously throws gears in and out, is very short. And I'll show you on this one. You have this counterweight. Now this one, you have to cut it over here. You have to chop it like I did. And I lifted on this one because I want to show you the reason why you have to cut it. Once this is in place, okay, look what happens. This is in neutral, and if you push forward, this will actually hit there, okay? Not by much, but it would hit this. So here. And now you say, okay, why you've done it this way, that is this? Well, that was a consequence. I will remove this counterweight because this is just for comfort, noise elimination on the gearbox. And once I removed it, I actually find out the gears go in easier and better. There's much better feeling when they go in. So I wanted to remove that prior to anything because it just drives slightly better. And then because we don't have that counterweight anymore, then I can put this rod in a place which is obviously the optimal for that position. This is the reason. So to sum everything up, you use your original cables, no need modifications. The gearbox mount comes with the linkage mount already, so it's one piece, and the other mount is this one here. One bolt, again, holds perfectly fine. You can use it and abuse it, no problems whatsoever. Uses the clips on your standard Toyota gearbox, you transfer everything. Another thing you have to transfer from your Toyota is your engine temp sensor, which is this one here. Let me just put this one here. So I'm supplying this plate, which now it looks exactly like this. Okay, and then I have to enlarge this hole and put a thread for that sensor. However, I'm gonna make this in aluminium. This was a mistake making it stainless because it's bloody hard to drill it and put a thread in there, because this is 316 stainless. This is not the cheap 304, but in mind 304 will show you a superficial rust. This will never show any type of rust, but it's very hard to work with. So I'm gonna reorder these. I'm gonna make them in aluminium, which is much better, cheaper, and easier to work with. Now on this one, on this engine, on this dummy engine, I don't have that housing here because I just don't have it. I used it for someone else. I've lent it to someone. I can't remember. I just don't have it. However, it looks like this, but this pipe here is not needed. You're not gonna have this pipe. This was add-on. I've added this one. I actually welded on. This is not gonna be clear, so it's gonna be only this is going out, and there's like a housing here which is obviously you're gonna remove it, put that plate on, put a stock sensor, Toyota sensor in, so you're gonna see on your clocks the real temperature of this engine like standard. There's gonna be this pipe here and these pipes. Again, this is gonna be cooling system. I'm gonna explain another day or maybe later. This pipe is not gonna be on the kit. This is absolutely not needed. This is actually blocked. There's like something, I actually blocked it somewhere, I can't remember where, but it's blocked. This is not needed whatsoever. Again, it was experiment with the cooling system, which it works completely different. The Volkswagen cooling system was completely different. The Toyota cooling system is completely different roads. It works very, very different. Now, the way I made it to work is extremely simple and very efficient. Trust me, extremely efficient. You can really push it and abuse it. It will never ever overheat, and it's just great. But I would have designed everything and made it much more simpler. But there's a little trick to make it work. If you don't do it, then it's not gonna work. It's gonna overheat, and it's gonna take you long time to figure that out. So I'm not gonna say like just now everything's gonna be supplied in the kit if you want to, but it's a part of thermostat. Now the thermostat itself, we have to cover this one as well. You have a different thermostat housings, these tubes, sorry. Corona. So these housings, there are so many different types of them depending on what the engine was fitted into. Same for these brackets. Now this bracket actually doesn't look like this. This bracket, it looks like this. Well, obviously there, but I got these pipes now. Okay, it's one piece. And there are certain types of cars they fit these brackets. Now this engine from the Passat actually came with that bracket. You see, it's completely different than the one we have over there. And this is the one that fits my kit, because this is the one that holds the alternator only here and the tensioner on these 3 bolts. Let me see if I can show you. Probably not, because that well, no, you can see something. There you go. See? Let me just touch the screen. There you go. There you go. There's a tensioner and the alternator. Very simple. There's a space for everything. Nothing touches nothing. Is absolutely spot on. Now there is a pipe going from here to the standard pipe, standard Toyota pipe, and it's just like an S. It's very simple to make. Now the cooling system, this is another thing we have to cover. The pipes for the whole cooling system between the engine and the standard Toyota system, I'm supposed to make them in silicone. Well, all the components to make them for me. However, the jig, the machines, the initial parts to make them, it was quite expensive, and I could not justify to do it now because it's a lot of money I would have to forward. I would have to order like about 20 kits or something like this, or 30 of them, plus the initial part. It was a few thousands, and there's two reasons why I haven't done it. Because first of all, I want this kit to go forward, to go to sell, you know, to see if generally people wants to buy it, wants to do it, and actually buy them from me. And then I can justify obviously to spend even more money. The second reason is because it's so simple to modify the stuff between the original Toyota hoses and the original Volkswagen hoses you have. It's so simple. There's no even need for that. I can actually show you how to do it exactly on your own, and it's like, wow, this is, yeah, you're right, just attach this to this and actually fits perfectly once you figure out how to work. But I did, so I can tell you everything. Yeah, they look complicated, these pipes here, but again, because I haven't attached them, you know, they are not routed as they should be, because again, this is a prototype, plus I want it to be like movable here, so I can show you all the stuff around what it is. But I think we kind of covered everything. Yeah, for example, you see that pipe over there? That pipe is the original Toyota. All you do is you need this, connect to this. I can't remember, I think this is the Volkswagen part. So you chop the hose in between, you fit this in between, and this one here, I think was the rest of it, fits the Volkswagen engine. Look, it looks like original. Now that white piece over here bolts to, obviously holds into this white piece, and you're using the standard reservoir, or whatever it's called. This is not, yeah, with this overflow. Here's overflow tank. You know, everything just fits in place perfectly, very nicely. So yeah, I think that's it. Now you pay attention on this. I got my fuel filter over here. This is not needed, and it's actually very easy. I just put a big long bolt through that standard gearbox mount, Toyota gearbox mount, and put it with the zip ties there. Again, me experimenting different places, different stuff. Usually the battery is here, and it works. This was behind the battery tray, but I found out, also it's used here, but this could be inside the car, but I found it very useful here. Again, for my work, because I take it out, take a different pins and work on electrics, because again, experimenting and development. But I found out the battery inside the car, behind the seat, is very useful, and there is a lot of space for it, and that gives you so much space on the top of the gearbox. If you remove this from here, all of this space is empty. If you tidy up these hoses, which I'm gonna do obviously once I finish the development and experiments, there's so much space here for the secondary turbo, for lots of stuff, or just leave it tidy, whatever you want. Now, this fuel filter doesn't have to be here. Let me turn the light off. On this engine, as you can see, what I use is the standard Passat fuel filter holder or housing, and the fuel filter is here, and it's very simple. So you have fuel going in through the filter, going out to the pump, return through the pump, through the check valve, and back to the fuel tank. Now at this point we're gonna cover the fuel system. Well, you see, you just did. No, I didn't. This is simple. This is what you're gonna get with the kit, or do it yourself if you want to. This is not another thing. I'm explaining everything because you don't have to get all the kit. I'm not gonna sell the whole kit. I'm gonna sell all the parts individually. If you want to buy just the engine mounts, you fit the engine and gearbox physically in, buy them alone, and do the rest of the stuff yourself. This is why I'm explaining how it goes. Now, the fuel system. I can't remember, but I think the standard fuel line from the pump to the fuel ray on the original engine goes here, and I think you can fit it to this. I think if it's too short, then change it, make a longer one, but this is the fitment. The problem is that Toyota uses non-return fuel lines. It means does not have any fuel line that returns to the fuel tank. So you have to modify your fuel pump housing on the top to have a return line, which is from the check line. So this one goes back to your fuel tank on the top of your housing, and all you have to do is get one of these, or it could be supplied. Let me just screw that in. It could be supplied in the kit, or you can buy it on eBay, they cheap. I think this is like 13 or 14 mil hole. Drill the hole in, put this in, screw it in, and that's all you need, and you have a pipe for the return. As simple. So yes, there is still some do-it-yourself parts to do, but they're extremely simple. Now, the oil system. As you know, or maybe not, there is filthy stuff. This was very old engine. This is a heat exchanger between oil and the water. Now, I'm not really a big fan of them. They do work on the standard engines, but if you want to increase the power or whatever, make it more reliable, I guess in my eyes, you remove them and you put external oil cooler. The way you do it, now what I do, I buy these ones. These are actually comes with this as well. They come together. This is a universal engine oil filter housing relocator kit. Does that make sense? So it relocates your oil filter remotely away from the engine. I use a part of this, which is Chinese, not very expensive, and they're fairly alright. They're good enough to mount instead of that heat exchanger, which gives you much more space because you got the chassis right here. So that doesn't actually fit. You have to have one of these. You could, I guess, massage the chassis a little bit, it will fit, but I don't recommend that. I recommend this. This is much better in my opinion. However, the housing and these, they are not too bad. You can use them Chinese ones. However, the fittings and the lines, no, they have to be good, because I had the experience with the Chinese ones and they crap. I use Torx, and I recommend to get, you don't have to get Torx, you have to get any good brand fittings, but get the fittings and the lines from the same company. For some reason, when you mix them, sometimes the fittings don't fit the line, although they're the same sizes. I had this experience before, and it's like, this is the size, right? This is the size fitment, yes? Yes. Two different companies, and unfortunately they did not fit properly. So if you get Torx to supply you the fittings, get the Torx to supply you the lines as well. Now, this is the line I supply, not shy, 250 psi. I don't think that's gonna be under stress, because you can probably, I don't know, 90, 100 psi when the engine is cold. And then obviously you got the valve, you got the check valve that limits the fuel, the oil pressure, so they are more than twice the strength that you need. And then a normal, I think this is 13 or 15 row oil cooler. This is good enough. You can put it wherever you want. I haven't found the space that to put it on. I just fit it there because you have some fresh air from that pipe. It takes the air from here. There's a hose here, big pipe, 3-inch pipe that goes there, and usually supplies the fresh air to the air filter, to the air box originally. And now obviously there's nothing there. It supplies the fresh air, cold air to my oil cooler. There's no brackets on that thing. I didn't mean any brackets, anything. Just purely fits in there and just zip ties. And it actually works. So that's good for me. But you can put it whatever. And it looks like this pretty much. So I think we covered almost everything. Oh, on the cooling system, there's another thing. There is a water hose, this one here originally. And as you can see, there's that piece there is blanked. That piece there is blanked as well, which we have to protect these pipes because this is sharp. And it's only there. This is the only thing you need. Now, this wants to bring me to talk about something else. Now, as I'm not busy in the workshop anymore with this stuff, I literally back onto this, and I want to dedicate myself in the workshop to the MR2 completely. And the Delica, obviously, everyone asks about the Delica. Yes, the Delica is next. As soon as it goes into production, I will have time to finish the Delica. I got the engine for it, I got the gearbox, I got everything, so it's just a matter of not long now, put on the ramp and start working. So yes, that's going to be next. But the whole workshop is going to be dedicated to MR2 swap kit, 1.9 TDI, 1.8 20 valve turbo, and there's a third engine coming down, but we have to check if it fits or not with this kit or not. Probably, but I got to make sure. However, as I was saying, now as I'm not so busy in the workshop, I want to do this alone. I'm not taking any more jobs. I'm not taking any jobs for the customers, nothing. I'm just doing this so I can do it properly. And if you want to send your car, the MR2, complete as it is, to the whole conversion, no problems, I can do it, because it's actually nice. I have a joy to do it. I can do it. And then we can do with either engines, the 1.9 or 1.8 petrol, to any sort of power, from original to crazy stuff to compound system, whatever you want, whatever setup. This is the basic setup. The basic, I think this is fairly good, reliable and everything, especially with the oil cooler outside. Another thing, if you want to order the whole kit, no, I'm not just gonna throw bits in the box and send it to you. The whole kit is gonna be built on this engine. This is a good engine, which I say this is actually a shame to use it because it's actually a very good condition. But this is my dummy engine and the gearbox. But even though this is my spare gearbox, again, good one. And everything is gonna be put on this engine physically. So the oil lines, this and that, and the fuel lines, and all the mounts and everything is going to be physically mounted on this setup. Even if you want to order the turbo system, and we're going to put the turbo system on the engine, everything fitted, every single bolt, every single nut, every single washer. As we make sure everything fits correctly and perfectly, then I'm going to disassemble everything, put everything in a box and send it to the customer. So that way we know 100% that everything fits absolutely perfectly. And then, for example, I use a zip tie here because, again, purpose of illustration. But you want to put a pick clip, nice pick clip that holds everything in place. We're going to put a pick clip on this, no problems, and all that stuff. So all the small details. I don't want just to, you know, sell the kit, sell the parts, and off you go. I want this to be top quality. I mean, I want this to, if you order the whole kit, to arrive to your door and everything is sorted, everything is absolutely perfect and reliable. You put it in the car, off you go, no worries whatsoever. This is what I want to do. It is more expensive, absolutely. If you do it yourself, it's pennies in comparison. But obviously, everyone wants something different. So if you do it yourself, I'm showing you all this stuff to make sure you do it the right way, the perfect way, because again, I've been through problems, I've done a couple of mistakes, I've sorted them out, and you don't have to. Obviously, we can modify this. I can modify these engines. It's actually very nice. Mine is on the con rods and modified pistons and all the stuff, and it can push proper good power. However, even this engine, the whole setup, everything as it is with the drive shafts, electrics issue and everything, once we bring it to 330 brakes, roughly, mapped and everything, I'm gonna sell it. The whole lot as it is, no in bits, I'm not gonna break it, I'm gonna sell the whole lot for decent money, but not expensive. The engine is fairly freshly built and all that stuff. The reason for that is because I want to continue the development of this car. Once I finish my complete development with 1.9, I'm switching to the 1.8 turbo petrol engine, and I want to put that one in. And then once that is finished, it's going to be exactly the same. We're going to go further engine because I really want to concentrate on these MR2s. I love them. I fell in love with this car. The handles awesome. It takes so much power. It's so easy. It is unbelievable. I mean, some cars is like you put too much power and you can handle it. These, they take everything. So I think this is the last thing to cover. Drive shafts. Very important thing. Now, when you do K20, K24 swap, what the companies usually give you is the mid shaft. So what you have your K24 gearbox with the gearbox side CV joint and the CV joint of the Toyota. And actually, let me explain proper, because you need to know this stuff before you do anything. Okay? So this one here is a Golf. This is a Volkswagen CV joint. This is a Toyota CV joint. Any difference? This is probably twice the size. This is extremely stronger than this. So what happens is they give you these drive shafts in between, because that is actually a very simple solution to do. Because what you do, you call a company, you give them the measurements, and then they have shafts on order. Not very expensive and easy way to make money. However, what you're left with is this. This is tiny. Now, if you're not running big power, fair enough, use it. If you're running big power and you know prepared to change these very often, do it, no problems. But this is not the way I want to do it. So what I do, I order brand new drive shaft, complete drive shafts. Now, if you want to sell me your complete engine, all the stuff already has a drive shaft, no problem, I can work with them. In my kit, everything is new. I modify this. I cut this off, I put them on the lathe. There's a video when I've done it already, and I've tested. It's extremely strong, it is beautiful. It requires so much work, but it's good, it's very good. So, I cut this off, this one here, from there. I machine the two parts inside, so this part inserts inside the Volkswagen CV joints and then weld them all around. There is a very tricky process to do it properly, so the CV joint inside still works as it should. It is strong enough and all the stuff. So you know they're not easy to do. They don't take 5 minutes. It takes me a long time to do it, but bloody hell they're expensive. Well, they are gonna be expensive, but they're strong, really strong, and I think that's the way to do it. I don't want to run a compromise, you know, running 600-700 meters of torque and then running CV joints like this. Now, if you have tiny wheels, tiny tires, fine, but that's not the point. You want to go fast, so you want to go tires that have plenty of grip and have the transmission, the whole transmission that holds the power. Now, on this side, unfortunately, I bought this drive shaft brand new ages ago, and only now I put it on and I find out it's actually the wrong one. This is from a different car. The tube is smaller, the CV joint is smaller. I just put it on because it looks cool, because it's supposed to be there in the kit, but it's not. So I have to call them and see if they accept it back. But it's been a long time, so they probably say, no, sorry, I don't remember who you are. So this is the CV joint and the drive shaft work. And now, because I actually finally decided to sell my Silvia, because this is actually a great substitute, because this is something I can use on the track, on the road, have a daily fun and use it on the racetrack. This is not needed. And yeah, this is a couple of things, you know. I have to make a mount for the oil cooler and buy the windshield, buy the bonnet, and then the bumper, a couple of things, and she's ready. And we're gonna sell it, so we've got more space, and we can start building this stuff. And again, this is something we can build anything from standard 130 brake horsepower Golf TDI engine to make it very cheap, just everything as it is standard, just put it inside the chassis, because the kids allow us to do it, even with the standard turbo and everything. Put it in and it's very nice, drivable, reliable daily car, very low mileage, because you know you can easily do 50-60 miles per gallon. Well, 60 maybe not, but 50 easily in a Golf, which is quite heavy. This is 2/3 of the weight, and the MPG on this is crazy. I have not tested it because you know I was really pushing the thing. It's like I haven't yet went slow in this thing, but I have to do it these days and really see what the MPG does. Again, you're not doing that conversion for the better MPG, but for the performance, but it's just curiosity. So from the standard engine to 300, 400, 500 brakes TDI, or with the petrol we can go anything over 1,000 brakes. But let's say you want to keep a fairly mild build, you bring it to 500-600 brakes. You bring this car to weigh about 850 kilograms. 600 brakes, 850 kilograms. Now there are calculators on the internet to see how fast your car would be in comparison to super and hyper cars. Have a look, because I did and made me smile. So that's it for now. I'm gonna try to upload this video today or tomorrow, so it's gonna be fairly fresh, and then yeah, we're gonna see you very soon. I think it's gonna be more and more videos about this.